Blog Talk Radio.
God, you are great and you are worthy to be praised. We will praise you all our days. We are your students. Teach us your ways, word by word, page by page. In the Hebrew we say, Elohim, אתה גדול ואתה ראוי לשבחים. אנו נשבח אותך כל ימינו. אנחנו התלמידים שלך, ללמד אותנו את האמת שלך, מילה אחר מילה, דף אחר דף.
It's Talk One's Talk. Talmadim. I just wanna get the knowledge. Wonder how they got it. I see a different message in the pages and decided to get the understanding that the Father had prescribed them. I'm thinking that it's very concrete. Show us and we will listen. Show us and we listen. Is a data can't change. Context is a must. Any artist can paint, contain your vision, trust. Moving the picture around like an auction, getting bucks off your often, cause you rush from a lost sense of your customs and your ways to the most high is appalling, yeah, that's us. And here's the reason, the cause of it's the gist. Who exactly we pleasing, the Father or the race? He set apart, Talmudim wrote his word perfect, but we often want to change according to our own belief. All we gotta do is read, dig a little deep, learn a little Ibrit. Ha-ha, Lord Shabbat Abba, Eloheinu Aga. All praises to the Father for bringing our knowledge further indeed. I can't start from the beginning and read and make sure it's not preconceived, man.
God, you are great.
Welcome to His Talk One's Talk, where our mission is and has been from the beginning to contextually read the scriptures from the understanding from the people that wrote it, letting go of preconceived notions and any doctrine that hasn't been consistent or doesn't line up. This show is without bias, with the goal to grow together as a family. The call-in number is 516-595-8238, and we are open to any questions or comments. Shalom.
All right, shalom and welcome everybody to It's Talk One's Talk Radio, the reset button. Season 2, Episode 10. Today we're going to be covering 2 Kings chapters 4 through 6. I'm very excited for today's show. I want to see what comes out from these brothers and some of the callers that call in today. Hope we get some good participation. And I know we had a little boo-boo, my bad, but I think it's all good because ain't nothing wrong with saying God is great. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool. We tell it one more time. So I'm going to give the floor up to Brother Shemai, then Brother O. They can have their opening statements, then we'll get started.
Check your mute, Shema. I don't know. Shema, can you hear us? Check your mute.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go, man.
his mic wasn't even hot. I thought he cut
I
his
didn't
mic
even
off.
know. I didn't even know I wasn't on. I'm sorry, y'all. Am I clear?
Yeah,
You clear.
All right, again, I'll say it again. This is Shema Ben Yael, Talamido. I appreciate those of you that's tuning in. I'm looking forward to what these brothers are bringing. I am excited for today's show. In particular, I'm always excited for all the shows, but this one right here, man, I think we should really pay attention to detail. It's reasons behind why I say it, but I want those of you that's listening in to formulate your own detail and then, share it with us on this show. And please participate. We will really appreciate that. And that's all I really have right now. Shalom.
This is yourself, hot or bean. I'm threw that in there. And yeah, this is Orek, Brother O, however you want to say it. But I want to make a proclamation and say, I don't mind to be called Joseph, Joseph, or anything of that matter. That is my name. So, and I say it for a reason. I might bring it out later or whatever, but yet and still, I'm excited about this show. I don't want to take too much away from it. I did see some things. I'm waiting for the other people to see the things too. Oh, and people be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to say this right now. Now we get out the way. The reason why I did throw the Joseph in there, because I found out that this is my name was somewhat of an agreement between my mother and the Most High. So I can't steer away from a previous covenant that supersedes my birth. Okay? So that's why I said I don't mind. My name is still Joseph, this, that, and the other, or yourself, the same meaning, because it must be some kind of meaning behind it, and I have to stick to covenants, previous to be. I don't want to be out of order, as far as like we read these things. I had to, double check this. My parent, or my mother, my Ima Shali. Anyway, that's all I got.
All right, so I'm pretty sure everybody knows how this thing goes, but I'm gonna just briefly go over it again, just in case. So once we get started, we'll get into the chapters. If anybody who has called in that's on the switchboard would like to chime in, then press 1. We'll see you in the queue. We'll bring you in when it's convenient, and then once you get out of once we turn your mic off, then press 1 again, and then it'll bring you out of the queue. And then when you want to come back, just hit 1 again so we'll know. Other than that, we're going to push forward into chapter 4, which I have, and let's get started. All right, so chapter 4 is basically a continuance of the story of Elisha. And it begins with the story of a prophet's widow bringing her situation to Elisha, or the man of God, as they continue to call him. And so the problem was that her husband had died, which was considered to be, or he was considered to be one of the sons of the prophets. Now, we keep hearing this term. I talked a little bit about it on the last show, but we'll continue to see this term, and I'll continue to kind of talk a little bit about it as we keep seeing it. So we know even from this that it's not like, so this man, he had a wife. I'm really not saying that these are actual sons of prophets. As I said before, is really, to me, it seems to be that they're just like understudies. And we'll continue to see this because these prophets continue to just always be around Elisha. So we'll see that they like understudies. So they're like prophets in training, so to say. If you see something different, you don't agree with that, then, come online and let me know. But that's what I'm seeing so far. Okay, so with her coming to Elisha after her husband's death, the issue was that her husband left a debt in which whoever he owed that debt to, they wanted to take her two sons to labor out the debt, basically. And so the issue was resolved by a miracle of multiplying oil in which she was instructed to sell to pay out her debt. So here we see another miracle that's being done, like multiplying of oil. These are some miracles that we see that we can attest to that shows the authenticness of Elisha as the prophet of the Most High. So continuing in the chapter, the scripture gives record of an account of Elisha and a Shunammite woman. So in the account, the woman houses Elisha when he comes through her land, so on and so forth. They made a little room on the roof, which lets us know that the roofs over there was flat. They wasn't slanted like what we have. So they made a little room on the roof for him to stay in, and they kind of got a little good rapport with the prophet or the man of God. And so through this time, that they supported him, basically. It was something that the Shunammite woman asked of the prophet because she didn't have a child. So she asked if he could pray or whatnot to the Most High for her to conceive a child. And so, long story short, she ended up conceiving a child, but the child grew, he died. So in his death, the woman sent for the man of God, which is Elisha. So the interesting part about it is the statement that the husband made, or the question that he asked when she went to send for him. She said, why? He said, why would she go to him that day, basically, seeing that it wasn't the new moon or the Sabbath or the Shabbat. So it was interesting to me because, we see two days or two events being kind of, I guess, being emphasized, not only just the Shabbat, which is like the weekly Shabbat, is from what I'm seeing, and the new moon or the new month. So it was like both of these events was honored based off of the statement, is from what I saw. Both of these days was shown to be set apart or recognized as set apart days, even by these Sunamites. You know what I'm saying? So they kind of knew the culture of Israel and the days that they had set apart. So I bring this up because it's just something that I noticed, but also, a lot of people don't talk about the new moon or the new month part of it. They only talk about the weekly Shabbat, as if that's the only thing that culturally the Hebrews observed or recognized. So I just wanted to bring that up, see what everybody thought about that. Once I'm done, if anybody would speak on that, I would appreciate it. But moving forward, so ultimately, in Scripture accounts to Elisha doing the work and restoring the child's life, basically. So he was used to bring the child back to life. And what was interesting is the way he went about doing it. You know, in 2 Kings 4:33 through 35 is kind of like you'll see the steps that he went through to actually, you know, restore his life. So I'm just paraphrasing right now, but you could read it. But he basically laid on him, like mirrored him, like on top of him. And, you know, he had his mouth on his mouth, his eyes. Basically, he just laid exactly on top of him as he did. He got up, he walked around, so on and so forth. And to us, I know that if we saw that, we kind of probably feel some type of way, like, why is he laying on him? Why has he got his face all up on his face and all this stuff like that? Because we just silly,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I remember, you know, I've seen some sort of thing done like that where the dude was laying on this man, like he had the sheet on him and he was laying on him, basically like, you know, looked like he was doing some homosexual type stuff, and everybody talked about it. So I just know how we would react if we saw something like that. Like, what is this man doing? Like, is he, you know, some type of way because he's doing this? And so, but by him doing all that, you know, he actually restores the young man's life, you know. So you kind of can't really question what he did because it had results. So, I mean, now if somebody just did it and nothing happened, then yeah, maybe you can question it. But it just, to me, was very interesting how he did that. If anybody know what I'm talking about that whole Wayne T. Jackson thing when he was laying. But that was something different. This wasn't like to restore somebody's life or nothing like that. It was I think he was ordaining the man or something like that. And, you know, he had him, the man was laying on his stomach, face down, and the bishop jumped on his back, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, he got a lot of kickback from that. So I just wanted to, you know, bring that up, and I found that interesting because I remember when that event happened with Wayne T. Jackson, which a lot of y'all probably don't know. That's one of the Hebrew brothers, comedian daddy. So, but I think he's a Church of God in Christ, I think. I don't know, I can't remember. But anyway, verse 37 at the end of the miracle, it's written that the woman fell at Elisha's feet and bowed herself to the ground. It's what the KJV say. So I always talk about this, so y'all should expect what I'm about to say next. This is an act or a form of worship. So we've been seeing this consistently, contextually, culturally, that they would do these acts of worship either in appreciation or just to reverence somebody. So this is a cultural thing. So because we don't do this in our culture today, you know, we would kind of interpret this as if, you know, if we seen it done to a specific person or whatever, you know, we'll look at it like, oh, that person got to be God. No, they don't have to be God or whatever. You know, it's just culturally that's what they did when they respected somebody and they wanted to give reverence or show their appreciation. I mean, it's just as common as hugging somebody. You know what I mean? So, lastly, the chapter gives record of the miracle Elisha performed for the prophets in feeding the multitude. So that's another great deed that Elisha did in his work as we going through, this storyline or content in context of the works that he did under the Most High. So that's pretty much all I got. I didn't want to, make it too long. So I hope that was enough information for everybody. And hopefully, if I miss anything, Brother Shema and or Brother Orehdin, better known, or a.k.a. yourself, I'm going to start calling you that too. So yourself will fill in the gaps. That's all I got. Shalom.
Some good points there. Good points there. Who do you have going with their points next?
It'll be you, because, we're going to keep it in the order that we're doing. So, and then it'll just rotate.
Okay, well, I really don't have a lot because you covered everything, honestly. Especially I like the fact that you brought in what I was going to bring in. All of you know about the worshiping. We've been hitting that for a while. But what I want to really expound on or magnify a little bit is verse 41 through 43. I know that the brother brought that out, but I want to go a little deeper with it, and I want to read it. So I'm going to read from the Stone Edition. So let me know if you all hear me clearly. Stop me if I'm not. All right. 41 says, Elisha said, "Get some flour." And he threw it into the pot. And he said, "Pour for the people and let them eat." And there was no longer anything harmful in the pot. Right. 42 says, "A man came from Baal Shalisha, and he brought to the man of God food from the first reaping, 20 loaves of barley bread, and some fresh kernels in their husks." Elisha said, "Give it to the people that they may eat." His servant said, "How can I place this before 100 people?" Now, before I read the rest of the verse, I just want y'all to think. The story sounds familiar, though it's not the same amount of people, but just think about it. You have 20 loaves of bread and 100 people. It could be that, well, this is enough for this amount of people, but in reality, we know how people could be as far as with how much they eat, and I just thought it was interesting because this servant is saying the same thing that most people would think in this situation with these many people. And the servant said, "How can I place this before 100 people?" But he said, "Give it to the people and let them eat. For thus said, Yah, eat and leave over." He placed it before them, and they ate and left over as the word of Yah. So I just wanted to read that. I don't know what that does for anyone that's listening, but I thought it was interesting how this similar situation we saw in the modern scriptures as well. So I just wanted to put that out there.
All right.
Well, I guess it's my turn.
Yes, yeah.
So that was very interesting. It did something for me, Shema. It didn't do anything for anybody else. It did something for me. All right.
Oh, man.
All right.
I'll explain later what I meant when I go into the next chapters. So y'all
Man,
know
got
where
to
I'm
point
going.
out. I said it did something for me. I didn't say nothing. Look, this is personal. We got a personal walk, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you added to my walk, brother. Anyway, my Bluetooth was tripping for a second. I had to hang up and call back. I didn't know if you said anything about verse 19. I want to repeat it if you did. Okay. It was interesting. He said to his father, "My head, my head." Okay. That term right there. Did you say anything about that verse? I missed that. Because like I said, my Bluetooth cut off for a second, and then you was all the way down at the miracle.
Nah, I didn't touch on that part. So.
Okay.
I try to keep it real general, just to give a little summary, and then I just hit a few points that I thought was prevalent for me. So.
All right. Just that term had basically stuck out to me. I've never seen nobody, I guess what would be called a father head. You know what I'm saying? In which there's nothing wrong with the term and nothing like that. It's just that you see the difference, or you see different terms used to give reverence to positions in the household. And the father would be head of the household, of course, strength of the family and stuff like that. So it just kind of was like a light, you know what I mean, for me. Like, oh, man, this is his son calling his father head, All right. Anyway, I know it's something small, whatever. And you had asked a question.
Yeah, with Brother Shemai. On
About
the tail end of this, can you address that? Because you didn't address the question. Now, you don't have to, but just let it be known that you're not going to do it if you're not. But I don't think that's the case, but just,
He just forgot. I know.
Yeah, I think he probably just forgot. But, yeah, so, do you want me to repeat it?
Yeah, repeat the question.
All right, so I just wanted to hear what y'all thoughts was, how they made the distinction of the two, how he was like, why would you go to him when it's not the new moon, as it says in the, I don't know what y'all versions say, but in the KJV it say the new moon or the Sabbath or Shabbat. So it's a distinction made between the two. So it's kind of, for me, it showed that both of them was held as holy days, or they observed these 2 days. So I just want to hear your thoughts on it, because you really don't hear from a lot of people about the new moon or the new month.
Well, personally, when I first started my walk into this thing, fortunately, for me, that is something that I did hear about, more so than anything else. The way that they held it differently was then, but just on my personal thing, I know for a fact that if we rewind back to the time of David, they had a festival on the new moon. And remember, he was like, well, the new moon coming up, and ask your daddy, tell him, hey, I ain't going to be able to make it. I'm trying to go over here. If he get upset, then remember David's little thing with Jonathan was about that festival of the new moon, that festival that's on the new moon. And that was the first time I really saw some kind of festival or set apart time for the new moon. Now, so yeah, we see that this is something that they did. It's cultural. Now, is it law? No. Okay. So what I see, of course, the characteristic in my name, there is no law that say you have to celebrate or separate the new moon. We know that it's a cultural thing, though. But we can see that it's a cultural thing, something that they did do. The biggest argument with, I couldn't think of the name, lunar Sabbath observers is about the new moon. Okay, not the biggest, but one of the biggest. One of the things that you would hear, like I say, I met some people when I first came out of the Orthodox Sunday church type of thoughts. I encountered some people of different walks, and one of them was ones that celebrate the new moon, and it was lunar Sabbath keepers, and they, wait on the new moon, and then they would start their Sabbaths after the new moon. And this is to knock anybody that's listening back. There's just no instructions to do that. A lot of times, people are looking for hidden things that the scripture might not clearly state because they feel like we're missing something. And, something has to change and this, that, and the other. And until we all get to doing this secret way of doing things, that we're not going to be in covenant with the Most High. This is not my terms. These are things that I hear from different people because I've heard lunar Sabbath keepers. I've basically heard solar Sabbath keepers. And both of them kind of feel the same way, that you're not really in covenant with the Most High if you're not doing it right. So according to the law in Torah, it is no law on it, but I do see that they had some kind of festival because it's the beginning of the month, some kind of set-apart time. Now, in which we see in context, there's nothing wrong with having something set apart, as long as it does not interfere with the Most High's laws. We've seen it happen with Abram, when he had a festival for his child because he was weaned. These little simple things, and we've seen it throughout Scripture, but these little simple things let you know that as long as it doesn't coincide or mess up what's going on, then yeah, it's cool. But I'm pretty sure if new moon fell on Shabbat, well, it might not be no difference because it's nighttime to me. So we just never know. And that's me personally. I'll let you go.
Was that all that you had, like, for the chapter as well?
No, I thought Shema was gonna answer for the question while we was there. But if you want me to finish, I can finish.
Well, Shema,
you the host, you let me know.
You got something?
Yeah, I don't really have anything extra. I was just gonna let you know that it does say in there. Where is it at? Hold on one second. It does say, he said, "Why are you going to him today? It is not a new moon or a Sabbath." So that does, like you say, show a distinction. It also shows, like Orek Dean or Yosef, how Orek Dean said when he brought up that they had did that. I do remember that. I actually was going to bring that up. It was culture for them. It wasn't the law, but it was culture. So they recognized this as something set apart as well. So that's all I have.
Yeah, I just wanted to say before you go, into your other stuff. I know we got Brother Mercy in the queue. Brother Mercy, I see you. I'm going to let you in after Yosef Ha'orehdin finishes all his points, and then I'm going to let you in. But I just wanted to say that was a good point that Brother O went back and identified that what we went over before. And I, too, agree that it's cultural. I wouldn't say that it's law, but culturally it was something that they kept. So with that said, I'm just saying those that start getting into the culture, it's something that I rarely hear talked about. Now, I have seen some people say Happy New Moon or whatever on Facebook. It's very few people that say it. So I just wanted to bring that out because to me it was interesting because apparently it was something that he was doing on the new moon. And it was something that he was doing on Shabbat. So it just let me know that Elisha also was observing this as the man of God, as a prophet in the culture. So that's it. But go ahead, O.
Yeah, like I say, very interesting. And I think as we start to unfold things, we're going to see a lot more cultural things that might not be, you know what I'm saying. The only reason I threw out the fact that it's not law is because I don't want people to be jumping into, because I know what you're saying, you know what I mean, because you did iterate it culturally. So I don't want to say, you know, I always want to let people know, hey, look, I ain't found no law on it, so I don't want you to, you know, because I've seen people jump on people, you know. Of course, according to this new moon thing, Facebook is full of people and full of different thoughts and processes. I mean, you know, and processes people going through as far as just learning. And sometimes I see a lot of arguments. You know, I could read the comments, and you do have a group of people that's saying, hey, look, this is law or this is needed. You have to do this because they see the cultural thing. And, of course, you cannot be blind to the cultural aspects of the things, but you know, we have to be, not me personally, but we as a people. So when I say we, I'm not necessarily saying that these three brothers, okay? So I just want people to know my vernacular, because I would like to speak as a people. We as a people, we need to be more conscious of certain things, and we have to take a seat back sometimes and listen to people, but regardless of that, I'm always one of those, if it's not the law, blah, 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 but it's nothing wrong with it. So I always try to throw the law out there because I don't want someone feeling bad because they might not be able to celebrate a new moon, or they might not feel it's necessary, or they feel I don't want them to feel guilty that I can't do new moons and Sabbaths, my job, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? This is not something that you don't have some kind of red mark on your report card. You didn't do new moons, even though it's not fair. And I'm very adamant about laws that are not there, that people make laws. So if anybody gets to know me, you know, if it's not in Torah, I'm not going to make it in Torah. And I'm not going to place it from other scriptures to put it in Torah. And I know these other brothers is like that too. I just, you know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm coming from with that. And it's not to counteract anything that he's saying. And I'm just putting it out there for the listeners. Okay. Go back to my scriptures. You did say something about, I was going to say something about the boy being revived. I did highlight 27, because at the end of 27 it said, leave her alone, for her being is bitter in her, and Yahweh has hidden it from me and has not revealed it to me. Okay? So, you know, he's used to knowing certain things. Like people walking up, you know what they're coming for. And we kind of see that already. He's in connection with the Most High. A little term that I'm going to be using shortly that I'm not going to put over the airwaves, but that's how he is. Shema, you already know what I'm about to say. But he says that the Most High hasn't revealed this. Okay, this is letting you know also that a prophet that has double portion from Elijah is not going to know everything. He said it himself. The Most High has not revealed this thing. This matter was hidden from me. Okay, so any prophet that's going to feel like they're going to know everything, even if you are a prophet out there or you feel like you're a prophet and you have not known everything, the Most High does not reveal everything to the prophet, even though you are a prophet of the Most High. That's why I highlighted that. 31, at the end of it, was reporting him to saying the child has not awakened. All right? The terms awaken and sleep is always used for dead. Okay? Well, not always, but I'm saying they're used for dead. So just keep that in mind, okay? Because I'm trying to figure out some things in my own head, but there's some certain things that I kind of see as far as the terms used, and that's how they feel. Like, okay, he's asleep, he's dead. And this is an older language and older terms. So we have to realize that could be how they describe things also, to give a better renderance of what they see. And I'm under that. I'm trying to figure out if that's what it, is, or because we got scriptures later on that say certain things, and I just want to get to the bottom of it, basically. So that's that. And I wanted to say something about it being weird about how he did it. And this would have technically been weird to someone like me or, Yada, possibly Shema, whatever, to see someone do this type of thing. You'd be like, wow, what, but like I say, it worked. So who is anybody to say? I've even seen people fight the argument and say, oh, look at this. This is gay. He put his mouth on his mouth. I love how Yada had explained it. He mirrored him because it lets you know mouth to mouth, eye to eye. They did not think of, you got to think homosexuality is forbidden, is thought of as a sin, and you think that they're putting homosexuality right here. It's just that to them, mouth to mouth, eye to eye, doesn't mean that it's homosexual activity. Actually, this boy is not alive at this point, so it really ain't no activity. But for a man in America to be kissed by another man, and he's not even kissing him, but I'm saying to be kissed by another man in America is gay to Americans. In other cultures, it's not. And I don't know if I said this, but my grandfather used to kiss me. He was older, but he used to kiss me on my cheek, and that's how he greeted me. All right, I got used to that with him. If I greeted him and he didn't greet me with a kiss, something's wrong. He always did. There's the only man, but he has a different generation, different culture also, you know what I mean? Where he grew up, different too, and how he grew up. So it wasn't, and I never was like, oh, my granddaddy's gay, ever. Of course. So sometimes we have to get out of basically how we perceive something to be homosexual activity and what is and what isn't, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to desensitize homosexuality because there's enough of that going on in America already. But I'm also trying to show that culturally you shouldn't have to get into a fight or argument about certain things in the scriptures because of the way that a westernized America thinks about things. Because possibly the reason why they think of it being gay, well, it's not possibly the reason why they think, because that's the only time you've seen a man embrace another man like that. In this culture, it was homosexual, period. But if it wasn't nothing to our culture to embrace someone with a kiss on the cheek or whatever the case may be, then it wouldn't even be nothing said, because like how we get, and I'm going to get off of this, but it was just something about, like he said about the homosexual. I've seen a post that referred to this, and this is one of the reasons why I say this. But how we get it is people, especially, let's say, people of color, we do the little handshake thing, and then we got the arms separating each other, you know what I'm saying? We make sure that it's extra masculine to make sure people know or whatever know that it's not homosexual. In which that alone, that over masculinity, is kind of weird if you think about it anyway. What is wrong with a hug? You know what I'm saying? If you're not homosexual yourself, you will not be turned on by any of these things, and your mind don't even go there, period. Because I got family members. It's a difference. It's crazy because some family members that are male, I embrace them differently than I would someone that is not a family member. The one who's not a family member might get the hand thing, and in between, the male family member, I ain't seen him in a while, they might get a whole-blown hug. So it's all mental. It's all how we are conditioned and what we see in the media and all this other stuff. And we got to kind of shake that when it comes down to reading a book that has nothing to do with how we've been conditioned. I'll say that. Keep it going. 35. And the child sneezed 7 times. And the child opened his eyes. Okay? 7. I don't know what it is, but I've been pointing out these numbers. I don't know what it is. Okay? 7 times you sneeze, and 7 times you walk around the walls of Jericho, 7 days rest. I mean, 7s are everywhere, okay? I've been pointing out 7s all over the place. What else did I put? Oh, 40, this term, I thought, when I read it, I was like, am I tripping? They said this. Is this an analogy? I thought it was an analogy. Maybe y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. But in 40, he said, then he served them the men to eat. So he went out there. I'm going to give some context. And one went into the field to gather plants and found a wild vine, gathered wild cucumbers from it, filled the skirt of his garment, and came and sliced them into a pot of stew, though they did not know what they were. Okay. And they served it to the men to eat, and it came to be when they were eating the stew, they cried out and said, "O man of Elohim, there is death in the pot." And they were unable to eat it. So I'm trying to figure out, was they saying, man, this is gross? Or was they saying, man, we eat that, we're going to die. It's poison. I didn't know, but I thought it was interesting. He said, then bring some flour, put it in the pot. He said, serve it to the people. And there was no evil matter in the pot. So I thought that they was talking about the taste, like this is gross. So then that's why he said, hey, bring some flour. You know, flour kind of, makes gravy, and flour kind of it adds to it. So I wanted to know, man, what the other brothers thought about that. I think I got, that's all I got.
Yeah, I didn't really put too much thought into it, so I don't want to try to figure it out right now. So that might be something you bring to the forum on this Talk One's Talk Radio, and then I can kind of go back and really look at it, because I don't want to just shoot from the hip right now.
And I don't even have a gun to shoot from the hip from right now. No, but I agree. I say bring it up on the forum, and then we can address it.
Okay. That's all I got.
All right, I know we had Brother Mercy in the queue. Sorry for the wait, Brother Mercy, but you are live.
Hey, happy Sabbath, brothers. You're having a good discussion. I was thinking your question in regards to the New Moon Festival or the Sabbath, what happens when the New Moon Festival is on the same day as the Sabbath? Or what happens when the New Moon and the Sabbath are the same day? Maybe that could have been it. Or it could just simply been the New Moon. Well, the Sabbath is definitely legal. That's definitely a legal a holiday or a day off. So what I'm saying is this is, okay, let me make real day applications. You got July 4th. July 4th. Do Brother Mercy buy fireworks on July 4th? No. But do Brother Mercy go to work on July 4th? No. It's a national holiday. So because culturally we keep the July 4th, well, I should say nationally, it's a national holiday, you don't work on it. So it could have been, the guy could have been could have simply saying, why are you going to see the man of God? It's not a day off. It's not a holiday. So why are you going to see him? Now, what I see in this is a little deeper. I go a little deeper in this. She hires a servant. So what I see here is not only is she going to see the man of God on the Sabbath, she has someone driving her or someone taking her, and the animal is working as well. I don't know if you guys pay attention to all these details. So let's say hypothetically this was the Sabbath day, then that means she has the animal working, she has her servant working, taking her up to the mountain. So they're doing some kind of work on the Sabbath. It looks like to me. But that's just my opinion. If it was a Sabbath, she's working someone, and the animal is working, carrying her to the mountain. What I love about Elijah, he's at Mount Carmel. Isn't that a special place? Elijah, where he performed that miracle. So
yeah, that's why I said, that's why I said, he does things on this, because we got to think also when Shabbat or any other set apart day is happening, like some people, like you said, nationally, people not supposed to be working, but those who do work for the Most High, this is the day that they actually do the works of the Most High, like far as temple work, so on and so forth. So, just want to throw that in there too.
But what do you think about her hiring her servant? Because remember, she hires a servant to carry her there, and the animal is carrying her there, so they're working. So the fact that it's not a Sabbath day means they're eligible to work, carry it to the holy mountains. So I just wanted to put that out there, legally speaking. But, because some people, they real, they like, well, I don't drive my car or whatever, or I don't hire nobody to work on the Sabbath. Some people take the levels people take it to. So I just wanted to say she hires a servant. So it not being a Sabbath makes this possibly legalistically speaking, I think, because they're able to work since it's not the Sabbath. Now they get there when it is a Sabbath is another question, because are they able to hire the servant? Is he able to put the animal to work to carry them to the holy mountain if it's the Sabbath day? That's the question. Or do they travel on the evening and stay there until morning, or whatever the case may be? Those legal ramifications I see coming in play here. But I'll just say this to make it simple. I think it not being a holy day, I think it made it possible for her to do travel. And the fact that the emergency situation of her son dying draws importance. I mean, if my son died, I'm not going to wait until, that's a pretty emergency type situation here. His son just died, so I can understand she wants to get to the man of God quickly. I can see that. So I don't know if I want to wait the Sabbath day to see the man of God at Mount Carmel if my son just died. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, there's some possible, I'm just saying. I'm just throwing different things out there. So I just wanted to say that, son died, so this is an emergency situation, and it's a critical point. She needs to get to the prophet. She needs to get to the man of God. She needs to get there. And so I think it not being the Sabbath may have been beneficial, because now she could put people to work to carry her to that holy mountain. So I like where Elisha's at. He's at Mount Carmel. He's able to be found outside of the Sabbath day at the holy mountain. That's critical too. Because you don't have to wait. Elisha was the type of man of God where he'll be at the holy place when it's not a holiday. That's real dedication. So I just wanted to say that. And so that's my take on it. I think
You broke all the way up, Brother Mercy. We can't hear you. I'm going to mute your mic, and then, your call, Brother Mercy call just dropped. So whenever he come back, I guess I can give him an opportunity to finish out his statement. But for now, we're going to move on. I did wanted to say the main point of my question was just to show the distinction, or if you saw that there was a distinction between the two. They brought it up. So it's kind of, to me, and I'm not negating any of the things that Brother Mercy said. Oh, Brother Mercy back. So, Brother Mercy, my question was really, did you see or identify the distinction between the two? So, I'm not negating any additional information that you brought. I appreciate it, but really, my question was just the distinction, real simple and plain question that I wanted to ask. Far as the distinction between the two. Now, if something falls on the same day as something, that happens. So, that's understood. That's just going a whole nother step into what I'm saying. But in the context of what was being said, there was a distinction between the two. So that's all I was really asking. So I'm going to bring you back on before we move forward to let you finish out what you were saying, though.
Yeah, it's clearly a distinction.
Okay. It was something else that you were saying before you cut out. You had got cut out. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity to be able to finish. I don't want to be rude and move forward without you being able to finish, affording you the opportunity. Hello? Brother Mercy? Can the other panelists hear me?
I think he might have cut off. Again.
All right.
Yeah.
So we gonna move forward.
I wanted to say I was tripping about my little verse 19. You know what I mean? The young boy was saying that his head hurt.
Oh, okay.
And then he fell out. All right. That's it.
I appreciate that correction. But we are going to see something like that in the next thing that I want to bring out, though. So, Brother Shemai, I believe you have chapter 5, so it's all yours, brother.
All right. Appreciate all the things that were said from everyone in regards to that chapter. Moving on to chapter 5. We see that it goes into a different direction in the sense with Naam, the commander of the army of King Aram. And as we can see in verse 1, it lets us know that he was granted victory, and he was a great warrior. But many would look at him as having a flaw because he was a leper, right? When we go down to verse 2, we see that they had captured a young girl from the land of Israel, right? So we're talking about, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that this young lady or this young girl was from the land dealing with who the king of Aram was about to send Naaman to cure his leprosy. And that's what we're about to see as we continue to go down. So she had brought to his wife this sort of way of curing his leprosy. And he had brought it. He had went to the king of Aram and had told him about the suggestion that the young lady had brought to his wife's attention. So, going down to verse 6, it says, he brought to the king of Israel the letter which said, and now, when this letter reaches you, behold, I have sent my servant Naam to you, that you should heal him from his leprosy. And verse 7 says, when the king of Israel read the letter, he rent his garments and said, am I God or Elohim that I can take and give life? That this person sends me instructions to heal a man of his leprosy? Understand and realize that he seeks a pretext against me. Me reading it, I don't know if he actually took that the king was telling him to do so. Because if we read back up, I believe that she had let Naam's wife know that it was a prophet there. So I don't believe that the king of Aram was really sending him to have the king per se heal him, but through the word of which Naam had said to King Aram, I believe it was really in regards to the prophet. And that prophet, it was the man of God who we know to be Elisha. So when you go to verse 8, hold on one second. When you go to verse 8, it says, when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had rent his garments, he sent word to the king saying, why did you rend your garments? Let him come to me now, and he will realize that there is a prophet in Israel. Verse 9. Naaman came with his horses and chariot and stood at the entrance of Elisha's house. Elisha sent him and met him a messenger saying, "Go and bathe 7 times in the Jordan. Your flesh will become normal again, and you will be cleansed." Now, I want to talk about a couple things in this particular verse. I remember Yosef HaOrech Dean had mentioned, or I don't know if he mentioned or he asked the question, I don't recall exactly, but we was talking about how Elisha was able to just speak these things. He wasn't going to the Most High on everything. He was able to just speak these things. And this is actually connected to what I tried to bring out in the previous chapter. We always mention there's nothing new under the sun, and honestly, I know I'm going off course a little bit, but the new is really mimicking the old. A lot of things that we see has already been done. That was the point of me bringing up what I brought up in the last chapter. This chapter, what I want to bring up is what Elisha had just told him what to do. He basically would be healed. He didn't go to the Most High in regards to this. Secondly, he also told him he had to do some steps. Some steps had to be taken before this leprosy was gone. Let's read verse 9 again. Now Naaman came with his horses and chariot and stood at the entrance of Elisha's house. Elisha sent him a messenger saying, "Go and bathe 7 times." Those are instructions in the Jordan. Wasn't directed by the Most High, as we could see. He just has the wisdom of the Most High. In the Jordan, your flesh will become normal again, and you will be cleansed. Those are instructions. And if anyone are familiar or is familiar with the new, you know that there was instructions for a blind man. So, cut me off if I'm doing too much, fellas. But, I just wanted to pinpoint that. Going down to, as we continue to go down, before getting to verse 12, what I wanted to read, Naaman is mad. Why is he mad? And this is what I wanted to bring out. It shows initially a lack of faith, right? Initially it shows a lack of faith. And the reason being, and first of all, he's getting these instructions from a man of God, right? But the reason being is because it's things that he had already experienced. He's done this before. He's went in this what did he tell him to go? And you will be in the Jordan before, and this didn't take place before. So what's the difference now? I'm already accustomed to getting in the Jordan, and I'm not being cleansed. So what is the difference? But when you go down to verse 12, it says, "Are not Amanah and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Do I not always bathe in them? Have I become cleansed?" Then he turned and went in fury. So this is just expounding on what I'm already saying. You go down to verse 13. It says, "But the servants approached and spoke to him and said, 'My father, had the prophet told you to do a difficult thing?'" Now, before continuing to read, I want to bring something to the attention. So just because people are lower than you, or what people will say beneath you, does not mean they cannot give you any advice that can help you not hinder yourself, because that's what he was doing. So they're trying to get, tell him, what's the big deal? If you've been doing this before and it didn't work, what's the harm in just doing this little thing that's actually not as strenuous as other things you might have done? This is just simple. Just go in the water and see if it happens. Just listen to him. So he says, "My father, had the prophet told you to do a difficult thing, would you not have done it? How much more so now that he has told you, bathe and become cleansed?" So he's saying, if he would have told you to do something harder, or what you was expecting, something to be difficult, you would have done that. Since this is simple, you're giving him a hard time. You're not thinking about doing it. So he listened to him. He went down and immersed himself 7 times in the Jordan in accordance with the word of the man of Elohim, and his flesh became like the flesh of a young boy, and he became cleansed. And just this example right here, it kind of sheds light on us if you really think about it. It's like things that seem simple is too good to be true. You know, things that we might be used to doing, and somebody brings and says the same thing to you. You put a flag up real quick, but how about your way just might not have been as detailed or as precise as theirs is. Yeah, you got in the water, but did you do it 7 times? You know, a little bit of a change, a little bit of addition that someone might put in your life just might be the thing that can help you. You know what I'm saying? So I want to go down to last thing I want to really bring out in this chapter. I want to read verses 20 through 24 real quick. And it says, Gehazi, the attendant of Elisha, the man of God, said to himself, behold, my master has spared the Aramean, Naaman, by not accepting from his hand what he had brought. Okay, so leading up to this point, Naaman saw what took place with him, and he wanted to repay the man of God, and he wouldn't accept it. Okay. As Yah lives, I swear that I shall not run after him and take something from him. This is what Naaman said. So Gehazi, which is a servant or someone that's with the man of God, I would say, chased after Naaman, wanting a prophet, basically. Naaman saw him running after him, and he alighted from the chariot to greet him and said, is all well? This is Naaman saying this. He said, all is well. My master sent me saying just now, 2 young men and of the prophet's disciples have arrived to me from Mount Ephraim. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but what basically he's doing, he's lying at this point. He's lying. He's trying to get what he was going to give to the man of God. Since, he don't want it, let me go up and get it. You know? And I just want to say, if you read from 20 to 24, it kind of shows you how those that's in company of you might not be mentally going in the same direction as you, you know, but secretly act as though they are when they're inside of you. But truly, behind closed doors, they're not. So, you know, I just thought that was interesting that he did that. So I really don't have anything else in this chapter. But at the end of the chapter, we see that since you did something in secret, you know, being mischievous, guess what? What was on him is going to be on you. And that's just a rule of thumb, man. You always want to make sure that you're trying to live properly. And when you don't, you see this is a good example of what can happen, especially when you're doing something contrary to what a man or a woman of God is doing, and you're a part of them. So that's all I have.
I didn't know if you wanted me to go into my points because I know I'm next in line, or if you wanted to say something yet, let me know.
Nah, go right ahead, and then I'll come after you.
Okay. I started my points in 1, and Naaman, commander of the army of the sovereigns of Syria, or Aram, was a great man in the eyes of his master, and greatly respected, because by him Yahweh had given deliverance to Aram, and he was a brave man but leprous. The terms that's being used is basically saying that the Most High had used Naaman to deliver Syria. That's what it's going to say in your KJV, basically Syria. So when I see Aram in this TS 2009, I'm just going to say Syria because that's what 90% of the people are going to be hearing or reading. All right? So, for anybody to say that the Most High is not or will not work with another nation to do something, to do anything, this shows right here that the Most High will use anybody and do anything that he wants to do. Okay? Period. So it's not exclusive. And look, it says he had given deliverance to Aram, so he was a savior to them. All right, we got to keep it going down. All right, another, I had highlighted 8, right? We got into this cultural thing earlier. We've been seeing this ripping of clothing, right? They rip their clothes, they tore their garments and stuff like that. This is an act of mourning. We talked about this a while ago in the dust and the act of mourning. This is a cultural thing, something that we see, first off, that you probably won't see today and age, because I'll be darned if I'm just ripping my shirts every time I get upset. I probably wouldn't have no work shirts, because that's when I get mostly upset. And they might have a problem with me coming back with ripped shirts. And what happened to you, man? This dude didn't have no money. So, cultural, okay? Nothing in the scriptures that says where it started kind of like that, but we see it. And every culture has a thing. I'm going to go back. All right, 10. And Elisha sent a messenger to him, say, go and wash yourself 7 times in the yard. The boy sneezed 7 times. Wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan. I mean, I don't know if I'm making my point yet. Something about these numbers. Say it all the time. All right. You know what? I'm going to reiterate what Shema said, because he was kind of on it. You know, he was on my point. So I don't have to say a lot of stuff, but what I will say is about 10, 11, and 12. He basically was like, man, I do this already. So how we look at this in today's age, how can I relate this to my life today, basically? I know some things might seem foolish, and it's a better way to do things, but if you got instructions from the Most High, and you know the instructions from the Most High, or you might not, whatever, I don't know. But this is, for this instance, this is instructions came from the prophet of the Most High. You was already recommended to this dude. You go to this dude tells you something, okay? Because this guy is the man, basically. He has a good reputation. Everything he says, he's been hitting. So you go to this guy, he tells you to do something. It don't seem sensible, so you really don't want to do it. But it's what he needed to do for his situation. And that's how the Most High operates. A lot of times he will operate through something that doesn't make sense. Okay? Scripture confounding the wise and blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to jump around the scriptures. But sometimes he might have you do something that seems to be, let me say, lesser for the purpose of your healing or this, that, and the other. Because he said, man, we got better waters. So why would I go dip in their dirty water? Basically. Like, their water ain't better than ours. What's the difference about this water? I thought he was going to tell me to do something else. And he didn't have to do nothing else. He didn't have to do nothing big. You know, another thing. And, you know, it doesn't have to be all big and outlandish. Keep it going. Look down, dip 7 times, and his flesh was restored like as a child. 15. And he returned to the man of Elohim. He and all his company, he stood before him and said, see, now I know that there is no Elohim in all the earth except in Israel. And now please take a gift from your servant. Okay, there's 2 things in this verse I wanted to point out. The fact that he said that now I know there's no Elohim in all the earth except in Israel. Where did he say his eyes was going to be on? Israel. Where did he say continually he was going to be working with? Israel. Point blank, period. That's his focus. Not saying he's not everywhere. He doesn't operate everywhere, but he told us back in, I believe it's Samuel, he was talking to Solomon. He said, hey, look, my eyes continue going to be on this place, especially the temple was there and everything, and even after the temple's not there, his eyes are continually on that place. So it might be something that you want to think about if you are alive in times where, you know, people start to get the shifting and you wonder why everybody going to Israel that say that they are Israelites. They going back to their supposedly homeland. Might be something you want to think about, because a lot of people might want to stay in America. This is your home. And I've seen people, you know, say they ain't going nowhere. That's on you. But I'm reading something different. All right, and then it says, now take this gift from your servant, but he said, as Yahweh lives, before whom I stand, I do not accept. And he pressed on and accepted, but he refused. All right. This is what I was about to say about the second part. You got people out here saying that your prophet has to take a gift. This man tried to give a gift. The prophet refused. So you do have an instance where someone brought the gifts to the prophets, which was Samuel, and they was looking for their. This was Saul. Saul was looking for their donkey, mule, one of them little animals, right? And they said, well, let's bring the prophets to the gift. I mean, the gifts to the prophet, so he could tell us where it's at. That scripture is used in churches today and by people today to say, hey, the prophet got something for you. You got to bring a gift. Now here is the counteract. Here's another scripture that says he didn't accept the gift. All right. Now mine is not a follower. He wasn't a follower of the Most High. He doesn't know what's going on. And here it is. Here is the man of the Most High saying, no, I don't want your gifts. So if it was a requirement that you're supposed to bring gifts, he should say, okay, yes, this is the requirement. Or you might have seen this requirement stated in Scripture before. All right. Then basically in 18, he says, you'll grant forgiveness to your servant in this matter. 17, he basically said he's not going to serve no other God. That's what I got from it. He said, for no longer is your servant going to make ascending offers and slaughter to other mighty ones, but to Yahweh. Okay? So he's repented. He's seen something. He's changed. He say, no, I'm following this God, basically, general terms. All right? And he asked for forgiveness after his repentance. All right? Repentance, forgiveness. All right? And he says, when my master goes to the house of Ramah to worship there, and he leans on my hand, and I bow down in the house of Ramah. When I bow down in the house of Ramah, Yahuwah, please grant forgiveness to your servant in this matter, right? I found this to be interesting because I had to look up the house of Ramah, and there's a deity in the Syrian deity, and it's also translated as pomegranate. Like the fruit, okay? So they got a pomegranate deity. In my head, boy, this is the funniest sight I've ever had in my head in my life. Okay, dude got a big old pomegranate head, you know what I mean, with seeds popping out. I mean, whatever. Imagination of me. But I didn't understand what he was saying. He was saying he's going to go worship. He's going to still go and worship in the house, but he's not going to do any ascending offerings, but that's where he's going to be. I didn't really understand that them terms. Maybe one of the other brothers or somebody online can actually clear that up for me. And that's the beauty of you studying and you having these things, because you're like, I don't really understand this like that, so I'm going to present it to you. It's a good thing, and that's why I be reading, like, I ain't understand this one. Let me throw it out there to these brothers or to the lives of the waves so we can get clarity together, period. All right. So I think that's all I really have. Oh. Okay, now he talked about what they did deceiving. And how they went and they basically lied. He touched on that. That was great. I'm not going to touch over it again. But in 27 it says, so the leprosy of Naaman cling to you. So let the leprosy of Naaman cling to you and your descendants forever. And he went out from him as leprous as snow. Hence, the white people today. I'm super joking, bro. But it is very interesting that it said that this leprosy was going to cling to his descendants forever. So is this forever, ever, or, the end of, or to the end of? Because forever could also just mean to the end of a certain thing, and we've known that by scripture and context. Well, in context, I don't know. Well, not just mean forever, ever, so that means that his descendants, you should still be some leprous descendants today. Or did this have an end? Little sub-question that could be thrown out there to whoever thinks whatever. And something that Shema said. You're right. Shema's right. There is nothing new under the sun. A little different angle, Sometimes you got to read the old to know the new. How about if you read the old, you would know what to put in the new. And with that, I yield.
All righty. You brothers did very well. I'm going to come through with some things. Y'all hit a lot of the stuff that I already had, but I want to kind of go into some of these other things. Some of them y'all hit, but I just had a different little angle or some additional stuff to say about it. So the first thing was the rhetorical statement that the king has said, which is in verse 7, where he says, "Am I God," and this is from the KJV, "am I God that kills and makes alive?" Now, the brother Shema, he brought it up, but what I wanted to add to it was the fact that he said that tells me his view on Elohim. So he said that kills. So it's the Most High that take lives. That's what I'm getting from his statement. And the bigger part is and makes alive. So his view is that it is the Most High who causes or makes, but causes to exist, who brings life. So that was interesting to me because he's saying this about Elohim, but it's kind of, to me, references Yod Hey Waw Hey, because he says that makes alive or causes to exist. So that was interesting to me. Moving forward, another thing is the fact that Naaman, how he was angry because Elisha did not come to him in person to perform the healing. Right? So, as the brother said, Brother Shema, he was saying, this is something that we also see in the New Testament, not really jumping forward, but it was just something that we know that we have read before in the New Testament where he didn't actually go. He just sent a word, for them to do a certain thing, and then the person was actually healed. So a lot of times we think the person has to come to where we are to actually do something, or you got to go to them for them to actually get the work done. That's just the mindset that you think. And a lot of the things that he was saying, I thought he was going to come lay hands on me. I thought he was going to do this, do that. I'm paraphrasing. He thought he was going to come and call on the name of Yah and lay hands on him. We think that's what we have to do every time. You got to go to church and somebody got to lay hands on you, so on and so forth. You got to stand at the fake made-up altar, because that is not the altar of the Most High. Okay? We already read that, what a real altar is. So this is just a makeshift altar that they're expecting for you to go stand at, and they got to lay hands on you and speak in tongues and all this, not knocking that, but what I'm saying is that is not a requirement, which I feel culturally in today's society, today's church, what people call the church, this is what they feel like you have to do. And then, sow a seed and all this stuff. We hear all this stuff that's said, but right here, he sent a message. He sent a messenger to tell this man, go get in the water. So that it can't, going to church and going to the altar can't be the only way to get your blessing, so to say, or get your healing or whatever. So there is other ways, other means that somebody can get the job done.
without even being there in your presence. And then just going to the fact that he said he was going to call on Yod Hey Wow Hey just also lets me know that he understood who Elohim was for Israel. So, and he, also, let me just talk about Naaman a little bit. He is from Aram or Syria. That's where he's coming from. But if I'm not mistaken, somebody can correct me, I believe he's a descendant of Benjamin. So it just showed you that they had people. It probably was his mother. Probably was a Arami, and he just decided that he was gonna be with them or something. I don't know, because they did have interracial relationships, and then it kind of caused the child to make a decision on which side of the family they want to be with, because a lot of times, me growing up, I only knew my mama's side of the family. You know what I'm saying? And we have a lot of that today. So my last name is even comes from my mama. So we just see how that works. Like, I'm really only deal with my mama's side of the family. What's up?
My last name comes from my mother's side of the family as well.
Right. So that's a good point, because culturally, that's just how it is for us blacks. You know what I'm saying? That's normally how it go. The daddy don't even sign a birth certificate, but that's neither here nor there, I guess. It does, help in relating to what I'm saying, but I ain't gonna veer off into that, but that's just what it is. So, and then when you go to 5 and 13, how Brother Shema was talking about how the servant came and convinced him otherwise, how he was complaining. He complained about that, him not showing up in person. Then he's like, why I got to get in, this, like Brother O said, I thought of it the same way, like this nasty Jordan water, I can have better water over here. Like, I'm supposed to be cleaning myself. So you want me to get in some dirty water to clean myself? This don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? But what makes sense to us may not make sense to the Most High or the man of Elohim. So, we got to kind of let that stuff go, about stuff making sense. Because a lot of times we try to rationalize a lot of things and try to make sense of a lot of things that just don't even require all that, and would stop us from doing what could actually get us our healing, because it don't make sense. Oh, that don't make sense to me. I'm not doing that type of deal. So we can learn from this experience. But what I want to note is that the servant calls Naaman father. So I don't know if anybody else caught that, but I did. And so what I just want to say to that is that this lingo seems to be kind of common between the master/Lord relationship with a servant in the culture of that time and region, because we saw that with Eliyahu and Elisha when he was like, what did he say? Father, my father, my father. Because right here he says he calls him my father as well. So, like I said, father and son, like the sons of the prophets, it just really just means that when you look at those words, the foundation of those words is like son is like basically a product of something. So vice versa, a father would be somebody that produces something. So when you look at it in that sense, you know, him calling him father is basically like he's a servant, you know, and he basically taking care of him, so to say. You can look at it in that aspect. When you look at sons of prophets, it's basically like they're understudies of these prophets, and they're making them prophets. So they look at them as like a father figure. Or even me, if like older people, they'll call you son, like, hey son, sonny. You know, they not your biological father, and you not their biological son.
Why you think it's such a disrespect when, like, say another culture calls you son, as a disrespect, like, I'm over you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in some instances, you know what I mean, it could be disrespect. In some instances, it could be respect, just how you use it. Even today, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Even with, like, boy, calling a grown man boy, it's just like, you know, disrespectful, you know. So a lot of times we look at these words and we try to make sense of them just in looking at it in one view. And this is my point of bringing this. Like, words have many connotations. So just we got to be mindful that when we reading this stuff, and as I said, when we see it later, even the term God, if somebody say my God or my father or call somebody father or whatever, we can't get it twisted as if, oh, they this telling me this means this. Slow down. Think about it. You know what I'm saying? Don't just jump to conclusions because you hear a certain word. And to you it registers something specific. If it don't say it specifically that this is what it's saying, then you can't be 100% sure. All right, another thing, I'm trying to hurry up and get done. But in 15, verse 15, you know, once he was healed, I just wanted to point out the reverence that he gave to the Most High. And Brother O hit on it, and I think Shema hit on it too. But, yeah, I know O hit on it for sure, I think. But where he was saying, you know, let me see, man, I got to come with it. There is no Elohim in all the earth. So he's acknowledging that Yahweh is the God of all the earth. Like, through this process, you know, the miracle has influenced him, even so much to him to want to stop his idol worship. So this is a very powerful thing in which I think is more powerful than trying to just go out and combat people, doctrine, and like trying to make them see things how we see it. You know, I don't see Elisha going out on missions to convert people. You know, just by him doing this miracle, somebody has been converted. He didn't argue this man on his idol worship. You don't see that in the context. All you see is that, you know, this man needed to be healed. They went to the man of God. As Brother O said, it was an outside nation that came. He didn't turn them back because they was an outsider. He went, he did the work, and by the work, this man's mind began to change. And that's all I wanted to say.
Can I piggyback off of something? I don't know if Shema had something real quick, but there's a couple things that you just said. Like, yeah, I did look it up. From what I think I saw, well, I didn't have too much time. I think it gives his genealogy in First Chronicles. I mean, it was 5 or something like that. And it do say, like, basically the sons of a Benjamite. So this would technically be a lost tribe that's under idol worship, if that's the case. I have to look deeper into it. So therefore, I would have to retract my statement as far as, earlier, but yet and still, they were still in idol worship. Because he did say he ain't going to worship any other Elohim or any other mighty one after this fact. So I just did want to confirm that with you. Also, a statement was used a while ago in one of our posts about baptism and where it came from. This is the scripture that someone threw. I want to say, from reading this whole situation, context, this has nothing to do with baptism. Not even in the same context of what baptism is used for. This is for this man, just a personal instruction to be cleaned of leprosy, okay? And it's not even the same, dying and coming back up type of jargon. So from reasoning, we would have to throw out anybody using this is context, or this is where baptism comes from, or this is what you see. Because it had nothing to do with it. It had to do with leprosy and being clean. That's what I wanted to piggyback off of, because I remember, I don't know if y'all remember that post. And,
man, it's crazy, because I thought about it as y'all was reading, and I was going to say something about it, but I guess I had so much going on that I was trying to hit that I ain't said, but the Most High came through and had you to do it. But I definitely would say that, you know what I mean, reading in context, being honest with myself, and I believe if we be honest with ourselves, we'll see that this has nothing to do with the New Testament baptism. Just me personally, I would have to say that. I just don't see how this would relate to the New Testament baptism, because for one, it wasn't like they was going out and doing this to everybody. It was to this specific man that had leprosy. So, I mean, then you would have to say, oh, you have to have leprosy before you can be baptized. And then you would have to say, you have to be dipped 7 times in the water, and it had to be in the Jordan River. You know what I'm saying? Because all the specifics are there in the instruction. So the instruction is it's in the Jordan. We even see the man arguing, saying, why can't I just do it over here in the clean water? You know what I'm saying? So it was specifically said it has to be done 7 times. So if that's the case, that's what should have been said in the New Testament as well. So that's all I got.
Okay, and that was something else you had said, and it just kind of slipped my mind when we started getting into the baptism a little bit, but it'll probably come back to me.
Was it the calling
I might have to reflect back.
Calling the Father, or the influence of the miracle and them not going out?
Okay. Thank you for saying miracle. I just wanted to reiterate, like you said about it had nothing to do with the Father thing, but you had said something about, like, hey, look at the example that Elijah had, and this person converted their life. I said this before a couple of weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? It's getting to the point where the Most High is going to have to show who he with by signs, because there's so much other stuff going on and so many doctrines going on. It has to be verified. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only way that I'm going to be, operating in this aspect. This is how you're going to be a light unto the Gentiles. I mean, for real. It ain't about going out and telling someone where their doctrine is wrong, what they're doing wrong, and how they're sinning, this, that, and the other. They didn't care about that type of stuff in Israel. They didn't. It wasn't like, oh, look at this outside nation. Matter of fact, he told them, don't worry about them outside nations and what they doing. You worry about yourself because I'm finna handle you. And whether or not you, you know what I'm saying, do what you're supposed to do. Because if you don't do it, I'm going to smack you. I ain't going to smack them. That's basically what the Most High said in paraphrasing. All right? So in retrospect, we do have Israel over here trying to, you know, hey, you got to do it this way. You got to do it this way. And nobody has any confirmation that this person is actually speaking from the Most High. And then I'm saying all these is words with different doctrines and different precepts being thrown around, some out of context, some in context, but who do you listen to? You know what I'm saying? So going back to, you know, original statement I said before, Israel is not going to listen unless you come before them with some miracles, basically, or something that the people know that the Most High is with you. You know, you might have some opposition, but they're going to know the Most High is with you. So we have to just get to, you know, this is a personal thing. Get personal. You know, make sure you get personal with the Most High so you know what I'm saying, can know that he operating with you so you can be used to maybe bring someone in out of idolatry because they see him through you. Okay? Because to be honest with you, they're not going to see him through this nation that's acting crazy out here because it's too much going on. So we can't be waiting on, you know what I'm saying, let's not wait on a nation to build for you to get yourself together. Get yourself together on your own, and you can be able to bring out individuals from how the Most High see or how they see the Most High is operating in your life. All right? That's all I had to say. I'm glad you said something.
All right, Brother Shema, do you have anything? Any other callers? If you want to, press 1. You have anything to say before we move on to the last chapter? Also, we got about 18 minutes before we go into the overtime portion. I'm pretty sure this last chapter going to take more than 18 minutes to get out the way. So if you're listening online, call in. The guest call-in number is 516-595-8238. Number again is 516-595-8238. If we don't have anybody in the queue right now. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
This is Brother Mercy.
Oh, all right. What's up, Brother Mercy?
Can you hear me? Oh.
Yeah.
I had one, but I couldn't get out to get back in, so I wanted to say something, though, but I couldn't get the one.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You on.
Okay. I was going to say, I wanted to touch on a couple things because this leprosy issue is a bigger issue, you know, is a real big issue. If we go to the New Testament, Luke chapter 4, verse 27, and it states, "And there were many in Israel with leprosy in the time of Elisha, the prophet, yet not one of them was cleansed, only Naaman the Syrian." I wanted to touch on that to show that what this king of Syria was asking for was no small request. This was not a small request. To be healed from leprosy was something that didn't happen in Israel. So for him to ask for that, I mean, he asked for a treatment. He didn't ask for any medicine. This man asked to be cured. I mean, it's almost like somebody today asking for a cure of, you got AIDS, and then one of your top officials got AIDS or HIV, and then I send a letter to North Korea, to Kim Jong-un, or whatever it is, and I say to the president of North Korea, hey, I want you to heal, and I'm from the United States, I want you to heal my leading commanding officer of HIV. Kim Jong-un going to say, hey, you want me to heal one of your top lieutenants? I don't like you. Number one, I don't even like you, number one. Number two is, healing from HIV is something that doesn't happen. Okay, you can get treatment, but the likelihood of you being healed is very, very slim. Now, I know some medications may be able to do it today, But I just wanted to say, this man asked for medicine. He asked for a cure. So I can see the king like you're asking for a quarrel, because if you, like in those days, if a king asks you to do something and you don't do it, there was repercussions. I wanted to touch on that. Then I wanted to touch on, I know you guys briefly mentioned baptism. Baptism means to wash. However, what we do today, what the church does today is nowhere close to what's happening here. Because number one, first of all, the Naaman wanted clean water or pure water to be washed in. And that's what our Christian churches today. They use pool water or chlorine water. That's not the kind of water that they're using back then. They're using dirty water, So I'm just trying to, there's definitely no parallel here between what they're doing today, and what they do today has no relevance even to the New Testament, what they call the quote-unquote New Testament, because this is the same water. Naaman is baptized, the same water John the Baptist is baptized in, and this is muddy water. This is not clean water that we see in our church today, or pool. Okay, this is muddy water. So since it's muddy water, we should be all conclude it's not the water that's healing Naaman. I mean, since the water's dirty, it can't be the water. It's got to be something other than the water healing Naaman. So, I like this. I like the kind of water I like them using the Jordan, the muddy waters of Jordan, because it's trying to send a message to Naaman. One more thing I wanted to say, this leprosy thing, he says he cursed them with the leprosy of Naaman. He cursed Gehazi with the leprosy of Naaman, not just leprosy, but the leprosy from Naaman. And I think that's key, the leprosy that Naaman had. So I just wanted to clear that up, not just leprosy, but the leprosy that Naaman had. And to me, if Naaman is, after he's been healed of this deadly disease, if he goes and worships an idol god, I mean, guys, he just got healed from a deadly disease, and now he's asked the prophet to forgive him because he's going back to worship his, I know what he said and all that, but at the end of the day, he's going back to worship his idol god back where he's from. So, I'm struggling with this thing. I'm just like, yeah, he repented, but come on now. He haven't even got back home yet, and he already saying what he going to do. He going to go back and worship it, because he got in his mind, I'm going to go back to my idol. So I just wanted to show you that. And so to me, that's what I see here. I see that leprosy of Naaman, because there's some people, even after they get cured, even after the Most High delivered them from a situation, they still go back to their homeland and do the same thing they were doing before they left. To me, that's leprosy. And that's the leprosy Naaman got. He was sick in his mind before he left Syria, and he's still a little sick in his mind when he's going back. So that's what I see the leprosy going on today. I think people got the leprosy of Naaman in the sense that the Most High does something for them, a miraculous thing, and then they go back to the very thing that they were doing before they left. And that's all I want to say. That's it.
You know what? I want to say something, because I had asked that question, and I forgot I asked it, that he brought it up, about is he basically asked for forgiveness to go before he go back and go do the same thing. I didn't understand if that's what he was saying. And I mean, I don't think anybody else touched on it, but then Brother Mercy just brought that back out. So that's something that I am asking to the panel members in that question. And then Brother Mercy just kind of brought up another question that came on, or a statement. I know a lot of times we sit back and we look and then a lot of times people say, well, I've seen healing in the Sunday churches, and these people worship idols. So what's going on? And I always tell people, I say, well, you just never know who that healing, whether or not this healing is for somebody else to see and say, you know what, I believe in the Most High. Or that story, that testimony kind of goes down the line and it's someone else. It's not because of what they're doing. At the time, they got that healing.
That just got deep. And the man said, which now I kind of understand the question a little bit better. Like, and the man is going back to go worship how he was worshiping. The only thing he said, he wasn't going to offer nothing to it. but he's still going to go inside that temple as not of the Most High. And because, you know what, he feared, because he going back to that environment.
Community.
Right. So he can't just denounce, you know what I'm saying? He the general, he going back. It's like, man, I know if I go back and I don't do this, man, they going to have my head, or they going to persecute me, or whatever the case may be. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to not offer nothing to it, you know. But when it comes to going in there and bowing down to it and stuff, I'm going to still do that, but I'm just going to not offer to it. So he already trying to ask for advanced forgiveness, because he knows he's wrong, because he just confessed with his own mouth that is only Yah throughout the whole earth. But he finna go play around with this fake L. He finna go, so he already confessed with his mouth. That's where he messed up at. He confessed that it was only Yah. So in his conscience, he already know, man, it's only Yah. And he know he did wrong. So he already asked him, forgive me. Just like a lot of people, they like, God, forgive me for what I'm finna do tonight. You know what I'm saying? You already know you're wrong. Quit playing games. And you know it's only one Most High, but you know you wrong. And you got in your mind, he gonna forgive me. God, forgive me for what I'm about to do right now. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Hey, I think I done said that before, though. Why you playing?
He probably all
I think I done
said
said that before. You know, especially when I was younger, man.
Give me for what I'm finna do. What I'm finna
exactly
do.
how you said it. Man, he gonna have to forgive me now. I'm about to get in.
Right. Forgive me for what I'm finna do. You ain't asked for forgiveness for what you did. But you like, forgive me for what I'm about to do. That's something to look at. That what was deep is what you said about the the whole healing. Like, even though he knew what he was gonna go back to and all that, because people, I mean, to be honest with you, man, celebrities, they get on there, they win their little Grammy, they VMA award, they thanking God, they doing all this, and they know as soon as they get off that stage, when the after party kick off, they about to get into something. They finna go sibling, they finna be doing all this, degrading they women. They finna do all that. But yet they said
right after, because that's a big celebration after that one.
Right. Even your boy, let me get off this, because I ain't here to call people out. So but yeah, man, very good stuff.
It's a talk show though, man. Just go ahead and talk. you know me. Don't be holding no punches, though.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of people get starstruck, and then what they do is they make excuses for these stars, because either they say they Israel, you know what I'm saying, in one of their songs, or, they talk about God, but then they say, come and put that booty on this Gucci belt. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they double-minded, you know what I'm saying? But you, like, all into the fact that they said they're a Christian or thank Jesus on the microphone, but then the other stuff that they do is not reflecting what they're saying. So it's like, I don't understand how we get sucked into that.
Hey, but you know what? I'm finna pull out some hypocrisy and all that too. Y'all can jump on, and when you hear him say it, and then I've heard people make excuses for him. Well, he's a work in progress, and he ain't, you know what I'm saying? But let it be somebody else. Let it be somebody on Facebook, you know what I'm saying, doing whatever, saying whatever. You gonna knock that man to the dirt. And this man that you seen on Facebook or one of the other social medias, you see him posting scriptures, you see him, you know what I'm saying, you might see him do whatever, and then as soon as you might see him like, oh, is he in the club, or ooh, and y'all like, oh, he said a curse word, and y'all will jump on the person on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? I don't put my personal life nowhere, because I don't like when people always got something to say, and I ain't got to defend myself. I had to change my name just because I got tired of defending my name as far as being Joe Blow. But, and that I shouldn't even have to do that. But anyway, y'all will jump on that man, but then it's a celebrity does it.
Why was your name Joe
comes.
Blow, Joe?
Exactly. That's what I would hear. But as soon as a celebrity does it, he's a work in progress, and we all sin, and we all fall short. But it's right. It's the same thing
you
happening.
You gonna say something about
exactly.
you Israel did something about, but I gotta get these gals. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't exactly what he said. I just cleaned that up. But I gotta get these gals. I gotta get this money. In the same breath, but you praising it.
And that's Naaman right there. Oh, yeah, I know I'm Israel, or I know this is the work, but I'm finna go back doing this. You know what I'm saying? So let's just call a spade a spade. He could be Israel. You know what I'm saying? But if he ain't leading his life, he ain't Israel. Let's keep it real. He's just nationality, but not nation.
He Benjamin.
He is. Right. Exactly. So what I'm saying, your actions equate to your culture, period. Okay? I'm going to pull it out there like this. Every nation, every culture, do not like when you acting like another culture. You know what I'm saying? Let's just keep it real. A Chinese dude ain't sitting over here happy because his son acting Korean. I mean, I know y'all probably don't know the differences, but I can even say, let's just use it as black or whatever. You know what I mean? He and the Chinese dude listening to the black music. I'm pretty sure they ain't embraced all around China. You know what I'm saying? Those are people that selected and put us to the side, and they want to know why you ain't listening to this or that. You know what I mean? So it should go the same way for Israel. You claiming Israel. You got the features of Israel or whatever. You fit up under these curses you say you fitting up under, but you ain't acting like Israel acts. You acting like the heathen nations. You acting like they was. You would have not have been allowed in Israel. So how you wouldn't have been in the gates, bro. And that's what we have to understand, that you would have been set up, like Israel was set apart. So even to claim something as Israel and not try to be set apart like Israel, you out of order. You don't even know the Bible that you speak of. Because you wouldn't have been, what's that term we be saying? Hey, you'd have been way outside the gates looking in. And some of these people that claim that Israel wouldn't even been inside of the gates. Not, lo and behold, behind some kind of curtain, you know, in the holies of holies, you know, as a leprous person can't go into the congregation. Let's do that to the congregation. So that's why I don't even like Kodak. What's that dude's name? Kodak Black. He even said it. But he ain't said nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, we waking up.
Man, that's all you gotta say.
Man, look at our condition. Like, what do you mean we waking up? You know what I'm saying? To what?
Man, going back to that awakening dead, man. People ain't woke. They sleepwalking. You know what I mean? For real, they just as dead as the little boy sitting there, just laying there. Real talk. And they ain't awakened yet. Because for you to awaken, you say to yourself, oh, this is the most. Okay, this is just like this is why, but I'm going to continue. I need to follow this. That's all the way woke. I'm following this. It's not, oh, man, I see this as God, but I still got to down here. That ain't really seeing the Most High.
Hey, you know how people say the spirit of Jezebel and all that, man. Hey, that's the spirit of Naaman, man. Naaman. Spirit of Naaman. That's what it is. You know, you just confess that.
For those listening, hold on, y'all. For those listening online, make sure you call in 516-595-8238. It's about to go in overtime. You're about to get cut off. 516-595-8238. Yeah, that was kind of late, but
I had put it out earlier. I put it out
there like 18 minutes ago, so they should have been listening. If they didn't listen to him, that's the spirit of Naaman. They knew it was coming. They just ain't.
Crazy, man. But man, let's go ahead and move forward. Let's go ahead and move forward, though, man. Brother Mercy.
I'm gonna go to 6.
Brother
Okay.
Mercy, I don't know. I think he pressed 1 after I cut his mic off, like immediately after I cut off to get out of the queue, but he never was in there. So if you don't have nothing to say, go ahead and press 1 again, Brother Mercy. That way it'll take you out, and I know. But if you don't press 1, it don't take you out. I'm going to open up your mic. So I'm going to give you like 5 seconds. 5, 4. Oh, there you go. Okay. So, Brother O, you got the last one, man. I know we went off on a little soapbox or whatever, but, you know, I kind of got Drew in when he said this a talk show. So I just went in and let it go. But we do got to get to the task at hand, and we got an hour left to do it, which is plenty of time, should be. So, Brother O, if you would, go on and get us started. Hello?
Oh man, I'm on mute. My bad. All right, I got chapter 6. What I was saying is, this is a talk show. We did want people to see how we are in our natural environment when we get to chopping it up. So sometimes we will chop it up. Sometimes we will get to that point, and it's not super off the subject, but we used to chop it up on the phone and be like, man, everybody needs to hear this. You know, we still have conversations sometimes like, man, this should have been recorded, you know. So that is why I say, this is a talk show, because this is not to get off subject. It's still on subject, but it is to get in your natural element and we be who we actually are without being robot. Back to roboticness. Chapter 6. I'm going to kind of give you, I had a question, and my question going to come before any of my points, basically. So I'm going to go to number 1. And the sons of the prophet said to Elisha, see, the place where we dwell is too small for us. Let us go to the Jordan, and let every man take a log from there. Let us make a place to dwell. And he answered and said, go. Okay, that's the context. All right. So one dude is trying to chop down a tree. So they cut down trees. One dude was trying to chop down a tree, and the axe head fell into the water. This is 5. And he cried out and said, oh, my master, for it was borrowed. I don't understand that term. Before I move on, as any of the panel members, I looked up what the word borrowed means and everything. It didn't really give me any it didn't give me anything on that slogan. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't understand why he said that. Does any of the panel members or anybody on the line know why that term was used, or what am I missing?
What verse is that again?
5.
Yeah, it was borrowed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he got it. He don't own it. You know what I'm saying? Is what I got from
Oh,
it.
so basically chopping it down, he was like, man, oh, man, that ain't really my axe, and it broke.
Yeah, the axe head went because that head was made of like iron or something like that. So basically he borrowed the axe from somebody. It didn't belong to him. And now he got to go explain what happened to the axe, because like the axe head, you know how the axe is made where you just it's slipped on the top.
Yeah.
And if it get loose enough, the axe head will fly off. So that's what happened, and it went in the water. So he like, man, that ain't even my axe. Like,
right. It wasn't anything special.
Right. So he was just saying, man, like, I got to return this at the end of this. Like, how I'm going to return it when the axe head is in the water? Like, I can't get it. So I'm going to have to, either he going to have to pay for the axe or something. You know, that's
by law.
what.
Yeah, by law, he would have to replace that axe.
Right.
According to Torah. Okay. I thought it was something special going on. I'm like, what does that mean? But sometimes you look with the too spiritual eye, you miss the straight physical in your face. All right, moving on. So he threw a stick in the water. The axe head floated to the top. He picked up the axe head. And that's just another miracle that was, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a miracle. Iron axe heads do not float. All right? Think I'm lying? Just go throw a nickel in the water. All right? And that ain't even iron. So, skipping down, 8, the sovereign of Abraham.
I'm sorry. Hey, ooh, that was good. He threw it in quick. Go ahead, sorry. Oh, my goodness.
And the sovereign of Abraham was fighting against Israel. It took counsel with his servant, saying, my camp is in such and such place, right? I'm not understanding what's going on here. Let me tell you why I understand. It don't say this is okay. Later on down, this is what I don't understand. You just got healed, right? And then you turn around and you fight against the same place people that healed you. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Like, am I tripping?
Yeah, people do it all the time. It's like people get something from you, and
you got what I got.
You bless them, and they turn around and they calling you all type of names, call you the devil and all this. Like, it is what it is. It's reality. That's how people do.
Okay. I was taken back because I'm like, and then I don't care how long ago, you just like the Most High is in Israel. You know what I'm saying? But I know you said it out your mouth. The Most High is in Israel. But I'm going to go fight against the place that I said the Most High was in. What made them think this was cool? I mean, I know they no answer. This is a rhetorical question. Anyway, so basically you got the man of God. That's basically what everybody is calling him. But Elisha, told him the plan, told him something to do. All right? I'm paraphrasing, kind of going through the chapter, hitting my points at the same time, because I want y'all to know what's in the chapter also. All right? So the sovereign of Israel and 10 went to the place with the man of Elohim and spoke to him and warned him, so he'd be a God there. Okay? This was greatly troubling to the sovereign of Aram, and he called his servant, declared to me, who of us is for the sovereign of Israel? So he's like, who's the traitor? Okay, who told? Basically what he's saying. And one of the servants says, none, my master. For Elisha the prophet who is in Israel declares to the sovereign of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom. So he says, man, they prophet is what's cold, man. Like, he the one telling everything. All right? Now, same prophet. Just healed the sovereign of Syria. And this say the sovereign of Syria. So, to me, I'm like, hey, same dude, right? It goes even crazier, whatever. And I wanted to go backwards to something, to not go backwards too much, but in 5, in Shema's chapter he was doing, when he went, he said, what was you doing? And he asked the servant, what was you doing? He said, nothing. He said, man, my heart was with you when you ran up. This is not nothing slack. This is this is miraculous things, but this is straight in tune with a bunch of things. Like a bunch of things is going on. This man is able to speak, and things just happen. He's able to, have healings without, not just healing, like doing stuff like we was talking about before in 1 through 3. He's able to talk and speak without even consulting the Most High, and it was just happening according to what he said. All right? He was also able to, the Most High is allowing him to know what other people's plans are. And this is that double portion he asked for. Because, Elijah did some stuff, but Elisha, this man was cold. I could say this man was cold. All right, anyway. And he said, go and see where he is. All right, and they reported and said where he was at in Dothan. All right, so now they finna come basically to get him, kill him, whatever. And 17, so they did. They came and they surrounded the camp or whatever. 17, and Elijah prayed and said, Yahweh, I pray, open his eyes and let him see. And Yahweh opened his eyes, the eyes of the young man, And he looked and saw the mountain covered with horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed to Yahweh and said, strike this nation with blindness, I pray. And he struck them with blindness according to the word of Elijah. Now look at this. Now you know what I'm saying, da-da-da-da is done according to the words of Yahweh. Look at what he says. And they came down to Elisha and prayed to Yahweh, and he said, strike this nation with blindness, I pray. I ask you to strike them with blindness. And the Most High struck them with blindness according to Elisha's word. So this is going back to what I was saying, him just saying some stuff, and the Most High granting it. They being on straight one accord. Like, because he the man. Like, as far as he the man of the Most High, he's doing what he needs to do, and his words, what he say, they finna come to fruition. All right. So, I'm going to summarize. So he go down there. I'm going to read a little bit. So he go down there. He says, so Elijah said to them, this is not the way, nor is the city. Follow me and let me bring you to the man whom you seek. But he led him to Shamaran. Okay. And it came to be when they had come to Shamaran, Elisha said, Yahweh, open the eyes of these men so that they see. Yahweh opened their eyes, and they looked and saw they were in the midst of Shamaran. Okay. And when the sovereign of Israel saw them, he said to Elijah, my father, should I strike? Should I strike? Now, it's their father turn. Also, let it be known, father does also mean chief, and, but these are ranking type of terms. All right? This is the sovereign. It's the king. Notice. Okay? I just want to put that out there. And I'm going to go down. My point was in 26. And I'm going to go to 25. And there was a great scarcity of food, Shamaran, and seed. They besieged it until the donkey's head went into 80 pieces of silver and 1/4 of cab of dove droppings, or 5 pieces of silver. Came to be as the sovereign of Israel was passing by the wall, a woman cried out to him, saying, help, my master, O sovereign. And he said, if Yahweh does not help you, where do I find help for you? From the threshing floor, from the wine press? So he's like, how can I help you if the Most High ain't been helping you? What can I do? And this is the same time he's like, hey, do I give life? Do I take it? Man, why are you asking me this? Right? And the disciple said, what is troubling you? And she said, now peep gang. And this woman said to me, give me your son and let us eat him today. And tomorrow we eat my son. So we cooked my son and ate him. And I said to her on the next day, give your son and let us eat him. But she has hidden her son. And it came to be when the sovereign heard the words of the woman that he tore his garments as he passed by the wall, and people looked and saw the sackcloth of his body underneath. So now the tearing of the garments. But I believe, I have not went back and looked, I believe that you will eat your children is one of the curses. Am I wrong? Do y'all remember? I can look it up, but not while I'm reading. I can let somebody else go with their points, and I can look it up.
Yeah, that was one of the things that was said. That was one of the things that was said in Deuteronomy 28.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it was said in there that would be a curse. But we can go and confirm it. But I do remember it off the top. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just wanted to put that out there just because, I've read Deuteronomy, and I was like, and I read that part, I'm like, man, when is this happening? We ain't eating our kills now. You know what I'm saying? But this is an example, cannibalism that you wouldn't have heard in Israel at all. And we already know that Israel has been wayward. They've been kind of doing their thing and not taking all, not going 100% for the Most High. If that makes sense. So, all right, and then it says, okay, and then he said, Elohim do to me and more so the head of Elijah. Did I skip something? Oh, no, I didn't. And Elijah was sitting in the house, and the elders was sitting with him. 32. And the sovereign sent a man ahead of him. But before the messengers came, he said to the elders, do you see how this son of a murderer has sent someone to take away my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door and hold fast with him. Is not the sound of his master's feet behind him? He's like basically saying, you see how, they coming to take my head. But look at the term. Look at the son of a murderer, son of the prophet, son of Badiah. All right? The son terms, not technically like the son. I see what Yediah was saying. But you fall under that class. That's what I'm thinking, if I'm correct about what Yediah is going on. While he's still speaking, 33, with them, this messenger came down to him and said, look, this evil is from Yahweh. Why should I wait for Yahweh any longer? And then that's how my chapter ends. But I sure enough feel like it should have just kept on going. But who am I? I didn't put numbers in this thing. Some dude did. So that's all I had. And I guess going on to the next one, just remember what the last one was. That you got kind of suspense drama happening at the end of the chapter. So bum, bum, bum. Tune in to us next week where we will finish whatever happens. But I think I had a question. Oh, I'll look it up. That's what I need to do. Look it up. So I yield the floor, and then I'm going to look up the Deuteronomy thing so I can be certain and probably read it after they're done.
All right, so I'm up. And really, man, you went through that thoroughly, man. I must say, you did that. So I really don't have much to say. I did want to talk about a little bit about the fact when he asked the Most High to smite him with blindness. So a lot of times people will oppose to you praying in the manner of the Most High doing something negative to a person. This is not the only time we've seen this. We've seen Dawid, or we will read where Dawid is praying, quote unquote, for his enemies. But the way he praying for his enemies is not in a good way. So we'll see that in some of the Psalms, in Tehillim, when we get to it. But I just want to note that, we've been seeing a few times where the prayers are not good prayers for the person that the prayers are going towards. So we do see prayers of, I guess you would say, of an evil sense, not evil like wicked evil, but just evil as in not good for whoever the prayer is going towards. So just with this, it just shows that, a man of God, which they've been calling him quite frequently throughout the scripture, prayed for somebody to get smite with blindness. Now, he didn't pray for him to die, but he did pray for them. This is not a good thing for somebody to be blind, But again, still, I just wanted to kind of put that out there for everybody to look at it in a perspective in that way, because I kind of looked at it from that perspective. So if anybody got something to add to that, I would appreciate it. And then another big thing, I thought this brother was going to hit it because he all about this, but it's cool. I'm going to get it. Where Elisha, he prays to Yah to open the eyes of his servant. For me, was basically to see in the spiritual realm. to be able to see, what he couldn't see through his physical eyes.
And I was gonna touch on. I'm so glad you brought it back up. Look at the Most High.
Right. So to me, that was big because a lot of people don't believe in seeing in the spirit or being able to see like certain things. But it also shows us that everybody don't have that ability at points in their life. Like the Most High have to grant you that ability to be able to do that, even with, maybe a lot of things that we see that look strange to us and like, man, they tripping or that's false, like that's fake, they faking it. Well, maybe you just ain't been granted the ability to do these things or to experience these things. Did you ever think of that? You know what I mean? Because I've experienced some things, and I know people that have seen some things that I did not see. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen some things that I don't always see. I just saw it at a specific time. So, it's up to the Most High to be able to grant that. As we've seen, he asked the Most High to be able to do that. I prayed to do something for a few times. I fasted, and I was like, man, I just want to see. I want to experience this for myself. I didn't know if it was real or not. So I was like, I just want to see. I fast. I asked the Most High for it, and it happened. So I know that this stuff is real, and we can't always say, oh, that's just in the New Testament, or, oh, that's the modern church, they doing this or whatever, that's fake. We can't always say that because a lot of times we have not read through this thing from A to Z or from Aleph to Tau. We have not read it from front to back, contextually, all the way through. So it's a lot of stuff we miss in the Old Testament. A lot of this stuff I had never heard before. Nobody ever said it. You know what I'm saying? All these miracles Elisha doing, like, before I started reading the book for myself, I thought only Jesus did. Or Yeshua. That's the only person that I knew did miracles like this. So it's just a lot to think about. That's all I got. I ain't going to take too much time. Yeah, that's it.
Hey, go back to your question. What was your question? Because I don't want to forget it before the question. Let me get a question. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to think of which one I actually asked the question with. I think it was...
I think he was talking about the way he prayed. Am I correct? Like how he prayed, you know what I'm saying, as far as him asking for the blindness along those lines.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
So I just wanted to hear, people's thoughts on what I was saying. Like, it wasn't always a prayer because all I know is people praying for things, if somebody's sick, for them to be healed, so on and so forth. But when you're opposed with something, like I never, them, when he prayed for them to be smite with blindness. Now, he didn't kill them or he didn't pray for them to die, but he prayed something that would basically give him an advantage of the situation that was happening, but it wasn't good for the person he was praying it to at the time, because I don't think nobody want to be blinded. You know what I'm saying? I know me, when I wake up in the morning, it's a blessing for me to still be able to see. So for me, if I woke up and I couldn't see, like, that would be looked at as a misfortune for me, because I like being able to see. Now, I wouldn't go crazy and start acting stupid because I lost my sight. I mean, but I wouldn't be happy because I lost my sight either. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So just if anybody would like to speak to what I'm saying, I would appreciate it.
I don't know if Shamar was going to touch on it, why he hitting his points. And then I go out to Shamar.
In this chapter, I really didn't have any points after what you already brought out. You already hit it pretty good for me. But I agree on he did, as far as the spiritual sense. I noticed that when he had brought that out, him asking him to open their eyes, and as far as the make these people blind, I think that is I don't see anything wrong with it any longer, to be honest with you, especially when it's dealing with things that's pertaining to a man or woman of God, especially when it's things pertaining to not harming them. Some people could disagree, and that's okay. But I'm with Elisha and David.
That dude's funny. And David. I agree, man. If you remember, they was calling that man bald head, and he had them bears come out there and tear them, however they tore them. But so you see, Elijah ain't, he ain't no punk with asking the Most High to do some stuff according to, but that doesn't line up with this Yah's love and love everybody and let them come whoop on you doctrine. Turn the other cheek, basically. I didn't see that in this aspect. I'm not going to jump on anything. I'm just saying Elisha wasn't going. He just wasn't. Even they was talking about him, and he said, oh, for real? Talk about that. And y'all know me. I agree, Hey, if I just got some real tools, like, talk about my locks, man. Bears can come out and snatch them little boys, them young men up, too. How old they is. They could be 14. That's with me. I'm just joking. But anyway, I don't find anything wrong with it. But I'm not even gonna lie to you. At one point, I probably wouldn't have agreed with this. Not reading it, not going back, not being into this. And when I was more so in the Sunday church type of thing, I didn't agree with it. I wouldn't have said that this was cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, no, never. I wouldn't, I wouldn't want nobody to be tore up by bears. I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? But he didn't hurt them. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing that people want to say. He didn't hurt them. Then another thing I want to say, just throw this out there. There's a lot of times people feel like certain people are blinded, spiritually. And if y'all got it like Elisha, you know what I'm saying? I mean, because to be honest with you, you should, according to how the beliefs, is going around here. And I got my kitty gloves on right now. I ain't even going all the way where. Then that means you should be able to pray like this, and these people, spiritual eyes should be open, and they should see whatever you feel like they need to be seeing, according to their salvation. Especially let it be Israel, okay? Because it's very important, according to some people. But how I feel is, hey, look, like we went back earlier, let the Most High be with you so much that somebody has to clean it at. And I'm not talking about the Sunday church miracles, because if that's the case, I still be in Sunday church because I saw miracles up in there. And that's all I got to say about that. So, yeah, you have the floor again.
All right. So we got Brother Mercy in the queue, I believe. So, Brother Mercy, you're live.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on this blindness thing. I guess first I decided to give you a little example of this hit song that Etta James came out when she said, "I'd rather go blind." I want to read just a couple words out of her song. It said, "Something told me it was over when I saw you and her talking. something deep down in my soul said, cry, girl, when I saw you and that girl walking out. Whoa, I was about to go blind, boy. Then you walk away from me now. So what is she saying? She didn't want to see the truth. Or she, some people, it's so bad, the truth is so bad, you wish you was blind to see. I'm a teacher. I see my kids cutting up. I'd be like, dang, I wish I wouldn't have seen that. But I'm just saying, it gets so bad. And then blind is not always negative. As we see here with Paul in the New Testament, he saw the bright light. He was made blind by the light. And then, the scales came off a few days later, and he was able to see. And after his blindness, he was able to be a mighty messenger. So blindness can happen to you to kind of benefit you because, what was the king of Syria doing when they could see? Were they trying to help Israel when they could see? No. They were trying to make war with the prophet. So the prophet had to make them blind because if he would have let them keep their sight, he would have made war against the prophet. And you know what the scriptures say? The Most High said, do my prophets no harm. So what happens when you try to harm, we just got done talking about Elisha cursing the young men. So you know what Elisha can do. He can call some she-bears out there and have you killed. Now, he didn't do that this time. He decided, okay, I'll just take away their sight, let them all live. And we still saying he mean, but, to me, I see him being a little nicer this time. And not only that, he feeds them bread and water. And not only that, he gives them food and water. And then the king of Israel said, shall we kill the Syrians? And what does Elisha say? No, don't kill them. So he told them to feed them, give them food to eat, give them to drink. So, and then, of course, they get sent home. So, Elisha, this time I see him sparing the lives of the Syrians, which is good. So I see him being a little nicer here, and I just wanted to say blindness is not always negative. It can be positive, especially if you have your sight and you're not doing nothing with it. Why have your sight if when you see, you can't see what's going on? So, and then when you can see what's going on, it's so bad that what's going on, you be like, man, I wish I couldn't see this. But, it's just the way it is. And then I know when the Most High gives you vision and you able to see things, sometimes I can see things I wish I couldn't see because it sometimes gets me depressed with some things I see. And what you see is not what everyone else can see. And sometimes, the one thing the Bible says, the more knowledge, the more grief. That's a true statement. And the more you see and the more you can discern, sometimes you can discern things that are not good that's going to happen, and you wish you wasn't able to see it, But I just wanted to say that Elisha, to me, here is saving the Syrians. You say he spared their lives. He didn't call the sheep-bearers out. So I think gave Paul. Oh, yeah, there's one more verse I wanted to share. It talks about blindness happening to Israel. It happens in the New Testament as well. Paul makes an illustration with that. And I just wanted to say blindness don't have to be negative, but I think sometimes blindness happens to get our attention so that the Most High can feed us and give us something to drink, because a lot of us are not going to eat anything or drink anything from the Most High or from God's people unless we go blind. So that's all I have to say.
Brother Mercy, I'm going to let you live today. So today you have life, and life more abundantly.
Yeah, so I guess at this point now we just gonna go into closing statements. If anybody had anything else they wanted to add before we got out of here, it could just be a general statement. Anybody on the switchboard, you could, say you enjoyed the show if you wanted to. I'm going to open the floor for that before the panel go ahead and do their closing statements. I go last so I could press out. So we'll go Shema, Yosef, and then myself. All right, we have nobody going into the queue, so I just go ahead and render the flow to Brother Shema, and then we go around.
All right. Just want to thank everyone for tuning in. I hope you got some good information that you can go back and study and look into yourselves. I hope better understanding on certain topics, and also to see that it's some things that's not new. Elisha, I want to say, was probably one of the first, if not the first, correct me if I'm wrong, that was speaking with this type of authority without, going to the Most High for these things, So once we gather and go through these things contextually and look at the examples in the Torah or the Tanakh, I want to say more so, man, that's there for us to just grow in. But again, thank all of you for listening. Got something in the works for you all soon. So things are panning together. We're trying to grow. We're trying to expand on his taught ones, eventually with the end goal being community-based, hopefully. We'll see. And that's all I got, man. Shalom to you.
This is yourself, Hot Ordak Dean. Gotta give you my own name. Anyway, it was a good show. Like we said earlier, this is Elisha is the original Jesus. He's the authentic one, I guess. OG throwback, because he did everything Jesus did basically. Throw some other ones in there. You know what I'm saying? Some extra ones in the New Testament. Or whatever, but as far as the miracles and stuff like that, if anybody wants to negate some of the miracles that was done in the New Testament, you might have to just look in the Old Testament. If I am getting what Shema is saying correctly, because, you do see some duplications of some things. I don't want to go as far as saying ain't nothing new, because we ain't got there yet. I'm still waiting to see some things. I'm for real. I'm still waiting to see some things that I saw in there. So, and anybody that know me, that's just me. I'm not going to say nothing yet. I said enough. This, like I said, this chapter is very short. I mean, this book is relatively short in comparison to some of the other books. Then we're going to go into Isaiah. I would love to say to hold on to your britches as we get into Isaiah. And that'll be the start of a new season. If I'm not mistaken, they can correct me if I'm wrong. Before we get into Isaiah, we'll have our, season finale, and then we'll, revamp and get into Isaiah. And we won't end another season until we're done with Isaiah. Isaiah has a lot of chapters, and we don't want to end the season in the middle of Isaiah. And that's something that we did talk about. So we probably won't end the season for sure. We're not going to end any season in the middle of a book. And since the 66 chapter, 60-something like that, in Isaiah, we'll probably start one right before Isaiah and then keep it going. And depending on how long it takes us to get through Isaiah, there might be some months. Who knows? Then we might have to have another season start, because we're going to have multiple seasons, whatever. But or whatever the case may be, we was trying to figure that out. But we'll let y'all know more so. And at the end of every season, we have usually a ref show, and then we have a season finale. So then we kind of wrap up where we came from and what we're doing for next season, this type of stuff, just like we did at the end of last season. And they're going to kind of come a little quicker, because we're going to do like every couple of months, or whatever, like 4 months. So we're going to talk about it, and we'll see, what we come up with, and then we'll let y'all know. So that means more rest shows, and they'll be back-to-back just like the last time. And it also means more time to communicate and just say things, get things off your chest, and, dive into even some of the things that we have to do as far as personally, not just according to Scripture, but things that build us up as people. That's one thing that we also want to focus on too, like the last rap show and stuff like that. What is things that might, help us as people, either whether or not it's going to help you individually or as a nation. I always think about nation building, but we'll see how, we always play stuff by ear. That's all I got. Just a little things going down the road or coming down the pipe. I would always say, hey, look, invite someone to start into Isaiah, because this is the salvation of Israel, and this is the most talked about book. When any salvation is talked about, you're going to bring up Isaiah. The future, the latter, the Savior coming, all this is in Isaiah. So, we're giving you a heads up now, and we'll continue to give heads up. But we would like for everybody, because this is one of the most talked about books, to get an understanding and not trying to argue or nothing. But there will be some disagreements, I know that much. And that's about it. Oh, and I did find that scripture, and y'all can let me know if this seems to pertain to it. It's Deuteronomy 28, 56 and 57. I guess I can read it real quick, and then I'm going to use the floor after that. Y'all can let me know if y'all think it pertains. I think this is the only one I kind of saw. The tender and delicate woman among you who has not tried to set the sole of her foot on the ground because of her delicateness and tenderness. Her eye is evil against the husband of her bosom, against her son, against her daughter, against her seed which comes out between her feet, and her children whom she bears. For she eats them in secret for lack of all, in the seeds of distress with which your enemy distresses you in your gates. I don't know, some things in there that might not, but it just reminded me of something I read in the curses when I read that. So that's it. And shalom.
All right, so enjoyed the show. It was a good show. It was entertaining to me as well. As the brother said, we got to kind of veer off and, just talk a little bit about some things that we see today, matching it to reality from the scriptures and kind of, paralleling some of the things that go on today. That's always good for me. And I just want to say I hope you all enjoyed the show. As the brother said, we are doing some things, trying to put some things in motion just to expand a little bit. So be on the lookout for that. As far as the YouTube page, all the shows are up. So if there's any shows that you miss, you can make sure that you go to YouTube. You can type in His Talk Once Talk Radio. And so all the shows up into this show, which I would try to get this show up before the next show. So I'm on track now, so it shouldn't be hard. I'm caught up with all the shows, so make sure you do that. Make sure you also subscribe if you can. We got 5 subscribers. Speaking of that, we got a new brother that I guess listened to the last rest show. He made a comment on that. Seemed like he enjoyed it, so bless the Most High for him. And he actually subscribed, so that's good. So if you always listen, it's just a brother that I guess just listen to that show. But if you always listen, make sure you subscribe, and support, what we are doing. And when I say we, I mean all of us. We're all a part of this. So just make sure you subscribe, and so you can get the updates and everything like that. And also, if you follow along and you're not in His Talk Once Talk Radio Facebook group, just go into Facebook in a search engine, type in His Talk Once Talk Radio. It should pop up. Request to be a member. We'll see you, and then we'll add you. And then to the panel, if you know someone that is following along and you already have them on Facebook and you think they wouldn't mind being added to the group, just go ahead and add them. But the ideal is for everybody to independently, want to be a part of whatever. I will encourage that you be a part, but what I don't want to do, or what we don't want to do, is force you into doing something. We want everybody to be independent in what they do. So, but I will put the information out there and do reminders just in case you maybe forgot or you just didn't hear it before. So, without further ado, if everybody would clear their mind, I will pray us out. Av Elohim, Tagadol, Father God, you are great. We just want to thank you today for blessing us just to be able to be here in the land of the living on earth and to be able to gather and to go over your word, fellowship, and have a good time. We just pray that you would continue to look over our families and also look over those who either are going through the situation, facing the hurricane, or may have family members that are going through those things. We know there are natural disasters, and, we really have no control over that unless you give us the power to speak. If you would, Father, we just ask that you just put a spirit in us to be able to be with one accord with you, be ahad with you. And if there is an ability for us to speak and speak to control the elements, we ask that you would awake that spirit in us to be able to operate in that spirit that you have blessed us with. So we just ask these things in your holy name. We thank you. Amen.